Hello, everyone. I hope you're all happy and healthy along with your respected families wherever you're located on this God's green earth. Today, I would like to talk to you about the recent terrorist attack in Kabul City, which was claimed by ISIS-K. As some of you may know, I believe that ISIS-K is a branch of the Taliban terrorist group in Afghanistan. It is basically a more evil branch of the Taliban terrorist group, which was created and deployed by the sponsors and by the advisors of the Taliban terrorist group, who are mostly officers of the intelligence agencies of some of the rogue states, terrorist states in our neighborhood, who are also prominent members of the axis of evil. And the objective was to have ISIS-K emerge so that it could legitimize and make it look okay for the region to engage the Taliban terrorist group, to legitimize them, and to bring them into their capitals and publicly engage them and publicly support them, sponsor them, finance them, advise them, treat their wounded, and arm them against Afghan National Defense and Security Forces at a time, as well as our coalition allies, which was the United States and NATO forces in Afghanistan, with the sole objective of manipulating the West into an idea that peace was possible, that the US and NATO allies could, along with Afghans, could achieve their collective objective of security by negotiating with the Taliban terrorist group and maintain the achievements of the past 20 years, the democratic framework, the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces, the rights of women and girls, freedom of speech, and also a contingent of US and NATO special operators in Afghanistan to be able to monitor and supervise the region for any possible threat emanating from that region towards the US and their allies, whether from terrorist groups or from the rogue elements and rogue states in the neighborhood. And so they achieved that objective of forcing the US and NATO allies to go to zero presence in Afghanistan. And ISIS-K has been utilized from time to time whenever they felt it necessary for that to become a prominent name in order to help the Taliban terrorist group to continue to stay relevant. And in the past 4 years, it has been used from time to time, and this recent attack also is basically a message to US and NATO allies that if they do plan to return to Bagram and to Afghanistan, that they need to be aware that there is a risk, that there is terrorist groups like ISIS-K in Afghanistan who are killing foreign citizens, particularly Chinese citizens in this case, and that if tomorrow the US and NATO allies and their forces and their citizens come back to Afghanistan and Kabul, that ISIS-K will be targeting them as well. And so basically they're trying to deter the US and NATO allies from considering to return back to Afghanistan, particularly to retake Bagram Air Base. And also to justify the recent publicly broadcasted meeting or an event where the Taliban terrorists ambassador submitted his credential to President of Russia or the dictator of Russia, Mr. Putin. And so there's a lot of widespread criticism among Afghans who mocked how Putin is basically elevating these barbarics as a legitimate representatives of the people of Afghanistan, while he will never meet with the leader of the Taliban terrorist group, which is Haybatullah, and clearly that's not happening. Because of the arrangement that they have is that guy will never be showing his face publicly or meet with any world leaders because he's just a puppet of Moscow. And to justify that engagement, this terrorist attack happens so that they could rationalize on their end, and also to anybody who questions it on the Western world, that they need to engage with the Taliban because there is a bigger threat or a more serious or more evil threat like ISIS-K in Afghanistan. But the reality is, as I stated, ISIS-K is a branch of the Taliban terrorist group. They're both in the same. They're basically playing good cop, bad cop on the world, and it's all being directed from Moscow by their advisors, who are former KGB officials who have a long history of involvement in Afghanistan, that they are managing the Taliban terrorist group. And so I hope the people, and I'm sure the people in Washington and other capitals and the West understand these plots and will not be deterred from taking action against Taliban terrorist group and from returning back to Afghanistan to retake Bagram airfield. And not just Bagram, there are other airfields around Afghanistan which are very important for the long-term security interests of the US and NATO allies to be present in those air bases. So we are hoping as Afghans that with the return of the US and NATO allies, that Afghanistan will be free from the Taliban terrorist group, that because clearly the Taliban will never agree for the return of US and NATO allies back to Afghanistan. I hope that people are not misled on that once again. There is no point in it. In the past 4 years, it has been discussed. There's no way forward. They will never accept the US and NATO troops being back in Afghanistan, and clearly it is the behest of their advisors, which are Russians, which are Chinese, which are Iranians on their ranks. Please understand that the expectation from the people of Afghanistan is a toppling of the terrorist regime of Taliban and freeing more than 20 million women and girls in Afghanistan. That I'm sure if the new administration takes action, it will lead to significantly positive response, not just an appreciation, not just by Afghans, but also from the people of the region and throughout the world. So God bless you. God bless the United States. God bless Afghanistan, and God bless our world. Thank you.